I still don't have my stupid first knowledge point, though. This is a fortified Doma. So, like, this one's gotta be, like, pretty intense with the knowledge, right? Like, I swear, this crap is just padding to make the DLC last longer. Because the main game wasn't long enough as is. The game has to take longer. But yeah, I can't believe this is what Ubisoft figured. Like, really? The game slash DLC isn't long enough already? We have to pad it out even longer? Not make this optional content, make it mandatory content to beat it all? Screw you, Ubisoft. Alright. I'll just see if it was made by Ubisoft. What? Can I not? Is it because I'm not on, like, ground? Is it because I'm on something that can move? Can this move? Can I quick save here? Nope, I sure can't. Can I quick save in the water? I'm pretty sure the moment I step in there, I'm gonna be in a restricted area. Nope. Well, let's see here. Why is that message coming up so late on the chat I read from? Even though Ubisoft has slowed down their release schedule of AC games, perplexes you how much content Ubisoft is still able to squeeze into games like Odyssey and Valhalla? Yeah, like, what the heck? Like, I know that the release schedule is a bit more spaced out between these games. Like, it took a couple of years, and I know that they have, like, multiple different studios working on it. But holy crap, this game just, like, never ends. I would have loved playing this game as a teenager. But man, do I dislike playing this game as an adult. It's like, I want to move on to playing other games. But this game just doesn't end. Like, I know I'm really close to being through and done with it. But I've also been saying that for a while. And okie doke, take care there, Guzman. I hope everything is okay there. Appreciate you stopping by hanging out. But yeah. Oh, jeez. I'm sorry to hear about that. Hopefully everything's okay. Yeah, and see ya there. Yeah, that's honestly the case. And that's one of the reasons why, like, I'm getting a little bit tired of playing, like, open world games. Because there's, like, so much where it's just like, before you can advance this, go to this place in the world and collect this thing. And, go do all this crap. And to do the next story quest, go to this random other place in the world. That's one of the reasons why I was so hyped when I was playing Final Fantasy 16 recently. And I went into that game knowing basically nothing about it. But when I realized it was a linear game of just, go do this mission, go do this mission, go do this mission, go do this mission, just linear, I was like, oh, yes! Like, I was just hyped about it. Because I'm getting, like, so tired of these open world games that take so long. Like, in terms of games that take really long around here, I've noticed, there's open world games, and then there's Persona games, where, what was me playing Persona 3 this year? Where it's like, that's not long because it's open world. That's long because of, like, the whole calendar system. And you have a finite amount of days to spend before the next story event. And I don't have to spend all those days. I could throw some down the drain just by resting and not using them. But it just feels like a waste knowing that this is a finite resource that I'm squandering, so I feel obligated to make the most of each day that I'm in. And then it takes forever because of that. So yeah, there's that. But usually the super long games are going to be like open world things that just like pad things out with so much crap. And this kind of padding of like, oh, you can't actually continue the main story until you get enough Isu knowledge. What bullshit, man. Like, just let me beat this. I don't want to dick around here getting all the Isu knowledge. Like, I'm not Tai Lopez. Like, I'm a normal human being that wants to move on with playing other games. Again, if I was playing this as a teenager with, like, so much time, I probably wouldn't see this as much of a problem. Uh-oh. And I'd probably get, like, a big kick out of this game. Like, I'd be getting so much bang for my buck in terms of, like, amount of content I'm getting with this game. But holy crap. Like, as an adult, it's like, if I wanna play a game on the channel, like, I can afford that. It's not a big deal. It's not like my teenage years where I'm trying to, like, penny pinch everything I can. Well, maybe I should penny pinch more. I am trying to, like, save up to move out into my own place one day. But still, I just wanna experience more different games. Can I find a good cliff here? Everyone's gonna be attacking me. Hi. This is a pretty good cliff. It looks like. Hi. Here. Go ahead and do that. Dang it, I was gonna pop my adrenaline refilling thing like this. Thank goodness I'm invincible during this. Or Witcher 3 is like the only game that does both the quality and the quantity well. Interesting. I've heard good things about The Witcher 3. I've played a tiny little bit of it before. The gameplay I thought was a little bit wonky, like, uh-oh. Like, I never quite got the grasp of the combat, but I never put a lot of time into it, so it's not like I really know. Uh-oh. I want health. I want health right now. Okay, please. Just die. Just... Uh-oh. Oh my goodness, this is so much scarier than the overworld. Oh, they lost me! How's it going, Reggie Bump? Should there's many side quests that are equally superb in writing quality to the main storyline. Really? Interesting. Because, yeah, this kind of open world game, it's filled with just so much bloat and padding that adds to its runtime. And there is some stuff, whoa, that's really good and really fun. But so much just this that I have to go around doing before I can advance the main storyline, because I need Isu knowledge or whatever other open world bullshit I need before I can advance the story, you know? And that just doesn't feel like a meaningful objective to be fulfilling. It was just like a little progress tracker thing that I need to fill up before I can continue with the story. Gosh dang it, it's another one of these guys. Please. Please target this guy with my thing, because he's the one that I can't kick off the platform. So use my skills and stuff on him. He thinks here. And then... I know if I spend it on the guy I actually want to target, like, it's just going to end it immediately, because it won't do, like, this animation. Ow, stop. Woohoo, get sniped! Is there people trying to snipe me from down there? Oh my god. Well, there's my one bailout. I hate this game, man. Uh-oh. Please. Okay, because I'm gonna die here otherwise. If I could hit you, that'd be great. Okay. Please. There we go. Woo! Yikes. Alright, I was a little bit worried there, but it's fine. It is a-okay. Just get a bunch of my health back here. It might not matter. You might be the last guy in this sequence of combat. Dang it, that barely goes anywhere! But I'll lose him and then I'll get my health back. But yeah, so now I got tired of Skyrim because, yeah, it has a lot of content. But when all the dungeons have the same few enemies and the same few puzzles, the same look, the same rooms, side quests are pretty meh in terms of story, and basically all open worlds are like that. Yeah, I get that feel. That's why open world should not be a necessity to be considered good. Yeah, there's periodic waves of people being like, oh my goodness, open world good, linearity bad. Everything needs to be open world if it has to be, if it's gonna be good. Like Oblivion / Skyrim was definitely a wave of open world. I think we're still in the lingering wave of Breath of the Wild. Because when people play Breath of the Wild, they're like, oh my god, this is like so superior than like the other Zelda games in every way. Even though it's not. I know this is a bit of an exaggeration, but that feels very much like the way that people treat it. And then people are like, wow, like things have to be open world if they're gonna be good. And Breath of the Wild shows that. So I feel like the current push of open world is still like the lingering wave of Breath of the Wild. Is what I feel like it probably is. But man, like there's so many games that come out nowadays that are just like the exact same open world slop of just, yeah, go around, do a whole bunch of crap before you can do the main story. Oh, and sometimes main story stuff you can do in any order. Isn't that cool? Isn't that awesome? Like, man, I'm gonna get through it all eventually, so, like, when it was still, like, pretty new to me, the idea of, like, playing things in whatever order was kind of cool and novel. Now it's like, I don't care, because I'm gonna play through it all anyway. So, like, who cares about what order I play it in? Like, I really couldn't care all that much. I just got an alert from Streamlabs on my recent events. Check out Collectibles Beta. Claim fun items for your stream like webcam frames, pets, and more. No thanks. Like, so many things feel like they have to be open world. I mean, sometimes it can be fun to, like, distract myself from the main story. and just explore around a world and see beautiful sights and do, like, side objectives. But the whole, like, main storyline progression of, like, yep, it's gonna take forever because you are expected to mix, like, main story progression along with, like, side content progression along the way, or else you're gonna be under-leveled. Or there's sometimes gonna be, like, mandatory side content that's also main content along the way. Like this, what I'm doing right now, of reaching these stupid knowledge sequences before I can, conclude the story, or advance the story here. Otto Knotos' musings, personal log. Well, I know a Project Olympus is this. They need food, lots of it. I'm happy to reap their share and provide them with whatever they need. For I know in their work, they will cast a light across the cycles to come. The fruit is growing scarce. Who or what could eat this much? Because then I have to play these games going around doing so much of this crap. That again was kind of fun at first. When I was first playing this game. When I was like, whoa, the gameplay of this game is actually really fun and I'm enjoying it and stuff. But now after... I forgot to put which stream this is. Like, I just made my stream title be like an announcement of coming events. This is like the first time I've streamed without having what stream number it is set up for a while. Because I kind of forgot about that. Let's check. How many Twitch thumbnails have I made? What stream is this? This is stream 29. This is the 29th time I've come to stream this game for a dedicated session. We are... how many parts into this series? Let's see here. Before this stream, we were 254 parts into this series, which means we've got to be around part 260 by now. It's like, it gets old after so long. So the fact that the DLC continues to pad it out, it's like, really? Really? So again, when I hopped into Final Fantasy 16, just knowing it was an RPG, but really knowing nothing about it apart from that. And then I realized it was a linear game where it's like, you go complete this mission, and that mission's done. Now the game gives you this mission, you go complete that. Next the game gives you this mission, you go complete that. This linear, without like the run around the world, doing random other BS along the way, across like a vast open world. I was like super excited. I was super hyped. I was like, whoa, I can actually just play every objective back to back to back to back, as opposed to something like this where it's like, all right, play the one objective, now go fill your knowledge, now go play the next objective, now go fetch this thing for this person across the world, now do the next main objective, now go explore, like, way into a zone that you've never been to before, over in this area. And then you can do the next main objective, like all this stuff along the way. Which again, if you have lots of time and you like the gameplay, can be fun. Man, this game has dragged on for a while. What am I at on my save file here? If I, go to this here, main menu. Well, I don't know. What does it say on Steam? I think I left the game on overnight once accidentally, but I'm at 140 hours in this game. I'm still not through with, like, its main content, and that's been me bum rushing the main content for a while now. Like, I was more taking my time with it in the beginning when I was like, whoa, this is new and fun. But then when I realized it was taking as long as it was, I was like, yeah, I just gotta get through this. I'm not gonna be doing as much side content when I play Valhalla. I'm just gonna be, like, tunnel visioning that story objective now that I know how long these are gonna take if I go around doing the side objectives along the way like I start out this playthrough doing. So... I've learned my lesson by the time I get to Valhalla, I think. I don't know. Like the idea of open world games, but they just go too hard on quantity? Yeah, absolutely. Terrible at balancing quantity and quality. Mario Odyssey is like that. Elden Ring is like that. Skyrim is like that. Yeah. Like, I had a lot of fun with Elden Ring, but you can definitely feel that aspect of it. Like, one with, like, how all over the place it is with, like, bosses that are everywhere, so many repeat bosses of things that you've faced before, and then like the difference in level when you go back to fight something from like earlier, and it's like, oh, well, you're just like super easy now, and now it's not engaging, and or maybe I fought a boss just like this before, and now that's not super interesting, and after you've gone into like one cave in Elden Ring, you've basically gone into them all, like, so I definitely really like Elden Ring. Between that and the 3 Dark Souls games, Elden Ring is probably my favorite, but it does definitely suffer from open worldness a little bit. And I remember seeing, after Elden Ring came out and, like, became, like, the new best thing since sliced bread, some people, like, making some comparisons about Bloodborne, where Bloodborne is also a linear game, where someone made some posts saying, like, Bloodborne, you go fight like some big dragon, you get a little bit stronger. Then you go fight like a slightly bigger, more powerful dragon. Then you go fight like a slightly bigger, more powerful dragon. And it's like the perfect gameplay loop. Like, what's the problem here? This is great. This is amazing. I saw like a post about it, and it's like, wow, that sounds like a video game I'd like to play. And it makes me really look forward to when the day comes that I play Bloodborne on this channel. Because apparently it's like one of the best Soulsborne games, and it's completely linear. Not completely linear. Like, I'm sure it has like the same amount of openness that things like the Dark Souls titles would probably have. But like a lot more linear than Elden Ring. And Elden Ring had like challenge for a lot of it. Like the very first major boss of Margit is very much like a wake-up call of like, holy crap, this game's gonna be hard.
Keel over and die.
And then like bosses after that for a little bit of time would be similar as well. But then as you go around like taking on bosses in whatever order, by the time you get to like the actual end of the main game kind of bosses, your power level is gonna be like so high and out of sorts because you were fighting other bosses at that point. Oh, he has part of the armor that I need. I hope that's not another mandatory quest. That even though the later bosses are designed to be much harder than the earlier ones, they just don't remotely feel like that because like you're so strong by that point. And because it's not a linear game, there's no real way to balance it around linear progression because Elden Ring doesn't have linear progression. So like you go up against some of these crazy bosses like Horalu or Morgott, which is literally just Margit from the beginning of the game but much harder. And they're just so much easier at that point. Because there isn't like linear balancing. I feel like if you're doing like a level-based game, like it's going to be a lot more fitting to be linear. Like Elden Ring, like Pokemon, like my complaints with Scarlet and Violet there, where it's like, yeah, open world does not work here. And it definitely does work better for level-based action games like Elden Ring than it does for level-based turn-based games like Pokemon. But it's still not perfect, so I do have my complaints about Elden Ring. Generally, I think it's a really fun game. It has a lot of content and a lot of really quality content. And like such a beacon of like, wow, this is a quality product, in such a sea of like such crap that's coming out from so many gaming studios today. But I think I would have preferred a linear game. And I'm probably gonna really like Bloodborne when I play it, I feel like. I don't know what to do here. Is watching a YouTube video on the decline of split-screen multiplayer games. Maybe open-world games will eventually undergo the same increase in rarity. Maybe. But I feel like, again, there's been, like, waves of people really wanting open-world, and then the interest in it dies off. And then there's another big open-world game that comes out that makes everyone be like, we really want open-world again, so I don't know. I don't know. Remember Lego Star Wars TSS advertised itself as an open-world game, which got people excited for exploring the galaxy. And when you play it, your first thought was, where's the level design? Yeah, you have to be really careful with level design and how you balance progression when something's open world, as opposed to linear. And also think about split screen multiplayer. That's really sad. There is a, it's one of those things that you wouldn't really think about that much until like someone says it. Yeah, there really is not a whole lot of split screen multiplayer games nowadays. I loved playing split screen multiplayer games growing up. Make me miss that thinking about it. Make me all nostalgic here. Much of the Xenoblade Chronicles games share the flaws of other open world games in your opinion. Much as I love the original Xenoblade Chronicles, side quests there can be underwhelming. The side quests are definitely a really big flaw of, whoops, the original Xenoblade Chronicles, I'd say, because some are like time limited and it's really, really hard to 100% the game because of like how many quests are locked behind other quests that are hidden behind other objectives, and it's all just such a mess. But I think that generally, in terms of like open world, if you want to call it that Xenoblade Chronicles balances it well, where it's still like a linear experience, but you're exploring across like a vast world with like all sorts of objectives that you can do. I don't think the side quests in Xenoblade Chronicles 1 are super great. Like, they get better once you start to like really understand the nitty-gritty of the game. But you shouldn't have to understand the nitty-gritty of the game to, like, be able to get something meaningful out of the quests. There's definitely a flaw there. But I don't think I would classify Xenoblade Chronicles 1, 2, and 3 as open-world games, per se. In the sense of, like, you can go around doing things in whatever order, because you can't. Like, the story is still linear. I think the only Xenoblade Chronicles game that I'd classify as open world would be Xenoblade Chronicles X. And that one is one where it's like, I guess the story is still linear. You have to complete things in a specific order there. But in the Xenoblade Chronicles trilogy, you still unlock the new areas in a linear order, and they just become like new zones that you can explore and like do side quests in and stuff like that. Xenoblade Chronicles X is the only of the Xenoblade Chronicles games that's just like, yep, the entire world is available to you right from the get-go. If you have like the skill to explore it, go ham and do whatever. So even though the story objectives you have to take in a specific order, you can just literally go anywhere, like right from the get-go if you want. Is the case. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Yeah, are these precursor boxes from
So I can't tell where my
Assassin's Creed Rogue?
stuff begins.
Alright, I got my first knowledge thing. I can go through the first thingamabob there. I may as well grab that guy's armor while I'm here. But yeah, I just realized PMD Explorers uses this exact method you described for padding side quests. Less often, definitely, but still, what with you needing to do, like, jobs from time to time before the story progresses. That also, like, plays into the world building where it's like you are actually working at the guild. But yes, it is still padding. Do that. Grab this guy's rusty mace, I guess. I think Breath of the Wild and Elden Ring are so overrated. I agree. Like, they are good, but they aren't, like, leagues better than their respective linear games. They just have so many drawbacks, if not more than positives. I think that they are both, like, incredible games in their own way. And, like, I did absolutely love my playtime playing both. But I'd be lying if I said that they were, like, flawless masterpieces like they're often hyped up as. Like, they are far from perfect games. I have my complaints about both of them. Like, they're both really fun games and really high-quality games and an onslaught of, like, so much crap that comes out nowadays. But they are not flawless, and there is upsides and downsides to open world. But I know a lot of people treat things as, like, open world good, linear bad, and treat it black and white. Like, open world is better in every case. Like, nope, there's a lot of things you have to be very careful about in open world that a lot of game designers just don't account for. Like, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is the perfect example of that, where it's like, the game is open world, and that lets you do things in whatever order. But the game itself is still designed linearly. So it's like, what is even the point then? Check your inventory menu, have gear that's better than what you currently have equipped. Yeah. I like the perks of my current things, though. Should I really bother with other things while I'm here? Probably doesn't matter that much. I got the knowledge I came here for. Well, it won't be marked. Oh, it won't be marked, but I can hover over it and see that I've done all that stuff. So I can go through this first door now, right? So I can fast travel there after I exit the restricted area here. But yeah, let's see here. And yet, what do you essentially do in the open world games? Travel slightly different paths to kill the bosses? Don't blame me, it's their logic. Yeah, if you're gonna, like I was saying earlier, if you're gonna do all the same objectives anyway, kill all the same bosses anyway, complete all the same levels and dungeons anyway, I don't really care what order I do it in. I'd rather just get through it in, like, a linear order where it's like, I'm constantly in the action doing the things I care about, rather than doing, like, random padding along the way. Is what I would prefer. You know what did a really good job of balancing linear and open world, actually? Dark Souls 1 is surprisingly really open world, honestly. It honestly is, and the level design is really interesting, and that Firelink Shrine is essentially your hub, and as you explore around, more things loop into Firelink Shrine. You unlock, like, new passages into Firelink Shrine. Like, you've explored around the world a whole bunch over this way, and then you unlock this new elevator, and you're wondering where it takes you, and you take it, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, it links back to Firelink Shrine. I went around and went that way. Like, the level design of Dark Souls 1 is actually extremely fascinating. I think that's probably one of the most interesting games from, like, a level design standpoint. From, like, the way that things loop back into Firelink Shrine. Like, the second half of the game is definitely a little bit weaker on that front, because there's, like, more places in the world that you have to go to a little bit further out, and then there's, like, you need to teleport for stuff like that, and not everything connects to, like, the same central hub anymore. But it is still very fascinating, and we did do a little bit of analysis on Dark Souls 1 in terms of level design in some of my game design classes. And Dark Souls 2 tried to do a similar thing, but kind of failed miserably at it. It's more like Dark Souls 2, you start at the hub, and you go to various different endpoints, end paths, but they don't really loop back to the, whatever the place is called. So, it was kind of shit in Dark Souls 2, and I don't really like Dark Souls 2. And then they did put in, like, a lot better fast travel system in 2 than was present in 1. but it wasn't super necessary in 1 just because of like how well everything linked together. And it's up to interpretation whether you want to call Dark Souls open world or not. Like, you could definitely make an argument. But yeah, the way that the world looped together is very interesting. And it's open world, but like in a much clearer way of where to progress linearly. Like, you're at Firelink Shrine and it's like, oh, let's go down this way and there's all these spooky ghosts that just wreck me. Alright, I guess I probably shouldn't go that way. Or, what are other hard areas that you can go to right from the beginning? Basically, like, Dark Souls 1 is open world, but it's linear, and that it pushes you to go down the way that kills you the least. Because there will be ways that, like, kill you relentlessly, and ways that's like, okay, this is manageable. So the game naturally pushes you to go down that way. And, like, with things like Dark Souls, there's, like, the specific paths that you're taking. Where it's like, yeah, here's this path, this corridor, this route. Where it's like, you just follow that directly. Unlike something like Elden Ring, where it's like a big open field. Where it's like, where do you go? Figure it out. Just choose a direction and start heading that way. And while that can feel like really fun and cool and liberating, it doesn't really help the game balance a whole lot, is the case. And in terms of game balance, you can always do something like this game did, where it's like, sometimes enemies can be higher level than you, but once you start getting higher level than the enemies, like I'm level 68 now, that a little bit of lag there, that's just like the new enemy minimum level now, is level 68. So, pretty much all the guards from this point on are just gonna be like this level of difficulty forever. Because once I get to level 69, they'll be level 69. And like, that can be a way to have the game like still be a little bit more engaging going on. Sometimes it can be kind of rewarding, becoming more powerful than the foes you're trying to take on, and then taking them on now that you're stronger, and that's something that's been shipped away. But there's all sorts of ups and downs and different ways that you can handle open world games. Lots of considerations to take. Yeah, let's see here. Did go too hard on making too many side quests. Yeah, with Xenoblade 1. They don't have that good of quality. Agreed. With that said, 2 just has as bad of side quests despite being a ton less. Yeah, I think the Blade quests in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 were pretty good, especially because, like, those would have, like, fully voice-acted cutscenes, for a lot of their cutscenes at least, and unlock, like, a new character in your party so they felt meaningful. They'd have a meaningful reward and, like, show interactions with the characters and, like, voiced cutscenes. But, like, even then, like, if you asked me to remember, like, the plot of, like, any Blade story, I probably wouldn't be able to tell you. Like, they weren't, like, out of this world amazing or anything. And the regular quests, I don't know if I could name you a single one. I can name ones from Xenoblade Chronicles 1 just because of, like, the insane amount of hours I have in that game and trying to 100% it before. But I can acknowledge that the quests in that game weren't super good. I think the quests in Xenoblade Chronicles 3 were probably the best of the 3. But it's not like they were amazing or anything. Yeah, so this is one that I haven't been in yet. Yeah, let's see here. Guess it could be argued Majora's Mask is also open world, so it isn't even that original a genre. Yeah, there's a lot of gray area for what you can classify as open world or not. Is open world a story that you can take in whatever order you want? Is it like a massive world that you can set out in any direction to explore different things? Like, what do you classify as open world? Like, I know there's a lot of different interpretations as well. Like, I think when Xenoblade Chronicles 3 was coming out, I don't know if it was marketed this way or if this was something that people were just saying. But people saying like, oh yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is a vast open world. It's like, yeah, I don't know if I'd classify it as that necessarily. Nintendo makes split-screen multiplayer happen in Mario Kart on Switch, but Halo campaigns and modern racing and first-person shooter games abandoned it on more advanced hardware. They did? That sucks. Like, I haven't exactly played those kinds of games, so I don't really play modern racing or shooter games. That's pretty sad. They didn't want that other guy to see me. Guess we should be grateful, though, that all our present examples don't mix with the infamous bad genre of loot box gambling. But nobody would do that, right, Sonic? What is that, something that they lean towards? But the whole notion that, like, we should be grateful that at least we're not dealing with that shit is kind of a sad prospect for the modern industry, isn't it? Where it's like, yeah, a lot of stuff coming out today is kind of and lacks a lot of the things that we had back then. But at least they're not doing like the worst of the worst. The failed experiment 3 of 4. Pretty sure I saw 1 of 4 before. Assistant to Aita. I heard Otis's voice for the first time on the way to the Adamant Merchant. It was quiet and insecure, and I wondered how often he'd use it. By the time we reached the market, he seemed almost at ease. Unfortunately, his lack of interaction with others became abundantly clear when he insulted the merchant to his face, having never been dealt a consequence. It was a lesson the merchant taught him quickly. Before I knew it, Otis was bleeding profusely from his nose, but thankfully the merchant stopped after the first punch. Looking back on it now, I see how much damage that one punch truly did. Otis was curious about why he was attacked, and after my explanation, he told me this was not the first time he had been hit. Apparently, Aita would let him and the 7 other experiments out into the large open room. Otis often ended up bruised and bloodied from those moments of freedom. He expressed his interest in understanding violence and its uses, so I decided to take him to the arena. This mistake would nearly cost me my— Oh my god, you're here?! I tried to do the critical assassinate. I thought I had a little more time. It's fine. Alright, well, no one saw that apparently, and then, Alright, so there's guys down there. So maybe just like... Guy down there's not gonna see this, right? Oh, thanks, animations. This guy's checking it out. And then those games fail to see the appeal for racing games being your friends. Yeah, exactly! That's where it's at. I remember I had a racing game on the PlayStation 2 that I actually really liked. Whereas, like, you could destroy the other vehicles, and then there would be, like, a little bit of respawn time. Like, you knock them off the track or ram them into a wall or something like that. You just destroy them. And it was so satisfying to do. Crash Burnout Dominator or something like that? I don't remember what it was called. It's on my shelf back there. Man, I love that game. So much fun. I don't know if that series continued. I know that was the only game that I played. Playing that in split screen, that was so much fun. I had a lot of fun with that game, honestly. Here, do this for a bunch of damage. But yeah, I mean, just in general, the second half of Dark Souls 1 is kind of weak. They kind of ran out of funding for the second half. It's pretty well known fact. Oh, jeez, really? Whoa. Well, I did not know that. I know that one big blunder of the second half of Dark Souls 1. Whoa, was the Bed of Chaos, at least. The boss that was designed so poorly that they apologized later for it. Like, man, that boss is just so poorly designed. It's not even hard, it's just annoying. So much so. Gosh dang it, man, I hate this game. But that's neither here nor there. Yeah, and yeah, you can go down and fight the ghosts to get better gear early. And does that make it open world? So remember your first session on level design where they taught us 101 for any game? Never let the player get lost by accident. Yeah. Yeah. You do want the player to always be able to, at least be on the right track to what it is they want to find. Like, with this game, for example. You can enable it in settings to have it directly tell you where to go, but the intended gameplay way, and what I have enabled here, is the one where it just, like, gives you hints about where to go. And it usually does give me enough context clues to be able to track down what I need to find. And then it does also feel like I am tracking it down rather than the game just directly telling me, and then it feels a lot more rewarding. But, oh, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on! What the hell? Dang it, but games that just give you, like, zero context to go on are just like, yep, run around the world until you find it. I hate games that do stuff like that. I think the worst case I can think of that in games I've played on this channel the last few years is probably Okami. Okami was one of those games that I long heard was hailed as a masterpiece. Like, one of those things that everyone who plays is gonna think that it's, like, the most amazing thing ever. Oh my god, I did not like Okami. Like, it was one of those ones that's like Xenoblade style open world where it's like a vast open world that you can explore and unlock new areas as you go, but like you handle things linearly. It's one of those kinds of things, but with a lot of padding along the way. The worst instance in it, by far, I'd say, was for the K9 warriors. So after you beat the first dungeon and you're getting ready to do the second dungeon, you make it to the second dungeon, but turns out you can't actually go into the second dungeon yet. You need to gather up all these K9 warriors that are gonna open the dungeon for you before you can enter. So the village in front of the dungeon, you need to trek around the entire village with a K9 warrior tracker that's given to you. That'll beep or change color, whatever the heck it was, as you get closer to a K9 warrior, until you've eventually tracked down all however many there was of them. So you run around the village doing that and finding all these canine warriors that serve no greater service to the plot as far as I'm aware. Like, it's been a hot second. And after you find them all around the village, you know what the game does? It tells you, get pranked, there's more canine warriors. But not in the village where you were exploring around before. Oh no, just somewhere out in the world. Where in the world? Who knows? And that tracker we gave you before? We're taking it away now. The entire world you've explored up to this point? Yeah, there's a few more canine warriors out there. Good luck! See ya! Like, if I wasn't a content creator, I would have absolutely, like, quit the game at that point. Like, I was genuinely so pissed off at that moment. Like, and then I spent quite the while of gameplay time from there, running around the world. I did just look up a guide at that point, luckily, that helped things along. But if I was going into that blind and needing to track down these canine warriors, oh my god. Even with a guide to track them down. Like, when something is so obviously padding, it's just, like, so boring with, like, no narrative implications. I just... My goodness gracious. When I think about my least favorite moments in Okami, I think about the canine warriors! Oh my god! This is what I think of. That game in general just had, like, a lot of random other crap that you had to do before you could progress the main objectives. It's stuff that I just didn't care about. I was just getting so tired of that game. So, yeah, that's one of those games that apparently everyone that plays it loves it and says it's a masterpiece, and I just did not, and I really dislike the padding. I'm gonna be honest there. But, yeah, I mean, level scaling is generally not seen great as it is much ruins the progression, feeling like you're never progressing and getting stronger. Yeah, I know that that's definitely a pretty common complaint. Yep, Sonic Frontiers has a fishing side mode that essentially acts as a means to get everything in the game without having to explore the world. You're not kidding. Aside from the emeralds, all items are acquired in gamble fishing. This mode is also a requirement to see the story for Eggman. In the fishing mode? Yeah. Money and time for Dark Souls 1 in the second half. Oh, geez. Well, having played the game, I can say that does make sense. The first half of the game is definitely way higher quality than the second half, no doubt. Failed experiment 2 of 4. Assistant to Isa, cycle 1611. Isa introduced me to one specimen he deemed ready to be shown the outside world. His name was Otis. I should have read this one first. Though he stood taller than me, his mind was that of a child's. As we opened his door, he backed away from us like a frightened animal. Whether it was out of fear or uncertainty, I wasn't sure at the time. I now know it was out of fear, and it was justified. Ita asked me to purchase adamant from a merchant and take it to Otis, who would both observe and be observed. As we stepped outside, Ida departed, and I began my study of the man in front of me. If he was overwhelmed, he showed no trace of it. Perhaps he simply couldn't understand all he was seeing. I asked him questions, but got no response. At the time, I wasn't sure if he understood language at all. Ita had told me very little about him, and I came to wonder if I was being tested as well. No matter the questions I had about Otis, I gained all the answers before long, including one I had never asked for, and one I wish I'd never received. If I wanted more context, I could go read the other one now that I've read this one. But I'm gonna be honest, I really don't care enough. I'm this deep into the playthrough, and I'm at the point where it's like, I don't care. If there's anyone watching this on YouTube after the fact that cares more, then you can look back into earlier this part and see me reading that out and be like, oh, I understand more now. But I doubt this is gonna have like any long-term series implications. Probably just for like diehard fans to piece together like all the tiniest little bits of lore. And I'm not someone that cares enough about that. Like, if things like the Juno plot were still going on, where there was like a big bad that the series was leading up to in like a really cool and meaningful way, like it was for a lot of the series, then I'd probably care more. Like, the series was genuinely intriguing. Not generally. Genuinely intriguing leading up to that all. With you wanting to piece together, like, what's going on here? What is it that Desmond's gonna be stopping? Like, what's happening here? But now that that's all revealed, and now the overall narrative just feels, like, very aimless. It's just like, yep, more adventures taking place in the same world. No, like, bigger picture progression. Is the stuff that they're doing with Layla something to care about? I don't know. I just can't find myself caring about it anymore. And I don't know how many players still do at this point. Because, man, those were the days in early Assassin's Creed where it was piecing together, like, what's going on in the story here and theory crafting. Does anyone even care anymore? What they've done with the Assassin's Creed story? I know I don't. But yeah. Oh, there's another one of those ingots. If I get one more, then I can, make this cool weapon. My brain struggles to think of the right thing for a hot second sometimes. You just not play Sonic Frontiers at all and just fish for the entire game and complete it that way. That's hilarious. Literally, you get the items you would normally get for doing platforming just by fishing. All I have to do is boss fights for the emeralds and the final boss. And just fish for everything else. Amazing. I mean, if you hadn't told me otherwise, I wouldn't have realized that there was anything else, like, important to do in Sonic otherwise. Because all I know about Sonic is, like, get the emeralds, beat the final boss. That's what I know for Sonic games. That barely gave me anything to progress towards the next thing here. I guess it's just I need to complete, like, those 3 passages after getting enough knowledge other ways. Oh my god, this sucks. Padding in our open world video games. Ooh, you love to see it.